Hello and welcome to the second Leading Broker Series webinar for 2026. I'm Brad Klukas, Head of Strategic Member Engagement. In this series, I'll be sitting on the couch with brokers who have been on all different types of journeys but are now very successful business owners who have lots of insights to share. Today, I'm really excited to be in our studio to chat with Connective's very own broker, Jamie King, Executive Managing Partner from BlueRock. Jamie has been with BlueRock for 11 years. And the business is multifaceted, covering all aspects of lending, but also broader aspects of which we'll hear from with Jamie later on. Well known across the broking industry, Jamie brings a strategic vision and engagement style known to many. His background is rich in commercial banking and mortgage broking, which helps him advise clients, both big and small, to put the right debt structures in place to help them achieve their financial goals. Outside of finance, Jamie is married to his wife Hayley and they have two boys aged 11 and 9, which I'm sure keeps you very busy. When he's not supporting the boys on the sidelines at local sport, Jamie enjoys getting out in the golf course, which is where I'm sure he does some of his sharpest work. Jamie brings unique strengths and perspectives to the table, and we're excited to learn from his expertise in today's webinar. So with that out of the way, I'd like to welcome Jamie. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks, Brad. That's quite the intro there, mate. I definitely don't do my sharpest work on the golf course, but...
You and me the same.
Oh, mate, yeah, I've got a lot of work to do there, mate.
That's all right. We'll see when we eventually get on the course together.
Great to be here.
Thanks, good. And we're rapt to have you here as well, as someone that's been with us for just over a year, or coming up a year, I should say.
Yep.
Really keen to hear about, your experience, but also the journey that has been, Jamie King and BlueRock to where it is today.
Yep.
So with that, 11 years ago, you were working for a major bank in business banking.
Yep.
And what prompted you first and foremost, a decade to go, I think I'm going to look to moving across into broking?
Yeah, I mean, so from the start of things, I had a relationship with Peter Laylaw, who's the founder of BlueRock. So he was actually, and BlueRock were a client of mine at the NAB Business Banking Centre. So I knew a bit about Pete, I knew a bit about the business, I knew a bit about his entrepreneurial flair and what he wanted to do with, at that time, was really an accounting business. Mm-hmm. He wanted to basically turn an accounting business into a multifaceted professional services firm, which included debt advisory and finance as a key point in that. So he basically approached me while I was at the NAB and said, look, Jamie, this is what we're looking to do. We've got 30 to 40 accountants. We want to build out a private wealth division. We want to build out a law division, finance, digital, and really provide a one-stop shop for our SME business clients. And look, to be honest, the proposition just looked too good to be true.
It sounds like it was, as in almost entrepreneurial to say it's here now.
Yeah,
but this is the vision.
It was, yeah, and he's for those of you that know Peter Laylaw, he's a very entrepreneurial person with that flair. But he obviously had the belief in the story. There was already 30 to 40 accountants that were providing debt advisory advice to their clients, but not receiving any sort of remuneration for it, and probably not providing the right advice, or not. It's taking them away from what their core was, which was obviously providing that consulting piece around how to get their business to where they wanted it to be. So there was a real gap there, and the opportunity just looked too good to be true. So I sort of just grabbed it with both hands. I'd been at the NAB for 10 years, started on the grad program there, so knew, in the business bank up in Queensland before I moved to Victoria with my wife. But so I knew, obviously, that being in the business for a fair while at NAB, and sort of saw the vision of what was going on in the broker land, and that was really starting to kick off sort of 10, 11 years ago in terms of mortgage broking. It was really starting, I could see the numbers sort of shifting, if that makes sense. And then I had this opportunity. So I thought, look, I've got to grab this with both hands.
It's still pretty, I use the term at times, courageous. Someone leaves the bank, usually a guaranteed good salary, there's career trajectory if you'd want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to make that shift, mate, you'd have to really see and believe in what the future was going to look like at BlueRock.
Oh, absolutely. And it was a really big move for me as well, Brad, because I just had my oldest son at that point. So he was just, 1 year old. Yep. I sort of said to to Pete. I said, I need to come in on a salary that's, a little bit better or the same as what I was getting at the NAB. And then he sort of balanced that out with an equity position to take some equity in the new startup firm that was BlueRock Finance. And we sort of negotiated there and balanced it out, and 11 years later, here I am.
Good work. Yeah. And so that first year, talk us through that first year, because it was just you, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So how was that when you think back?
Oh, look, coming in, I had a few clients that sort of wanted to sort of follow me, obviously from the NAB without sort of restraint, without the restraint clause, all that sort of stuff. But the deals were already there. The accountants, so from day one getting in there, Jamie, can you have a look at this? Can you help? We've got a business here that needs help with, debtor finance, trade finance. Can you have a look at this for us? So automatically, as soon as I got in there, I had a look at what was going on and took deal. I was saying one deal at a time. One deal at a time. I can only do so much.
Well, they all would have shifted, right? Or from referring out to just banging
they were.
you.
Yeah. And they knew that obviously having that and the remuneration that come with that, with the trail and the upfront, there was a real business there.
Yeah.
So to be honest, within 6 months, I had my first hire as a lending associate working one-on-one with me, and he was a great kid that's gone on for bigger and better things, and their family actually still look after their family from a finance point of view. Yep. But so he came in to the business. He was a graduate, just fresh out of school, and he was really good to help me pick up with the technology piece. To really, it allowed me just to go out and create more opportunity, and then provide that information back to him to then process through the wheel or the systems that we had with Plan at the time. We were with Plan, and we're putting all the deals through, and he was able to just pick that up for me and really run with the transactions, which really escalated things quickly for us. Yep. And then within the further 6 months, I was able to bring a colleague that I had at the NAB, who I knew was a very, very hard worker, to come in and start, as a broker with the. So he came in as a little bit. We gave him a little bit of equity to get him in, and gave him a good wage, similar to what he was on at the bank, to entice him to come over. And we had a really, really strong relationship for 10 odd years. He's since left the business just recently to do his own thing. Yep. And that just really escalated things for us. But the deals, we were lucky because we had that referral base there, Brad. Yeah. Like, we had the accountants, we had financial planners that were coming in. The BlueRock was growing out organically, and then we were there just to pick up all the finance and lending stuff.
So it sounds like you grew fairly swiftly, like you said, within 6 months, and then another broker. Yeah. So, at what point did you say, right, this is a scalable opportunity here? Yeah. And because you've moved fairly swiftly since then. Yeah,
I think, look, we when I first got in there, it took probably 3 months to work out the magnitude of what was going on here. When you've got 20 odd accountants sort of screaming at you to say, hey, Jamie, what about this? Can you come here? Can you come there? I was getting pulled from pillar to post within, sort of 6 months. So I knew that there was something here. The accountants were on board, which was the major piece. Yes. But I suppose from an accounting perspective at BlueRock, it's a bit different. They're, a lot of accountants are heavy on compliance, less on consulting, where BlueRock is more heavy on consulting, less on compliance. So we wanted to, the accountants had plans for the clients to come in every month, go through their actual versus their forecast. How do we get the business to where they want to go? And then we just fell into those conversations. So debt is a major piece in that. So if we can save you on some of your debt facilities, we're looking good from an accounting perspective. But also, if we can strategise and make sure that they've got the right debt pieces at the right terms and conditions in place, then that adds weight to our relationship.
And if you had to touch on, because there'll be some of our audience that have one accountant firm or one law firm, and then others that maybe have many. But in terms of the relationships and the rhythm that you had with those in the early days, what did that look like?
Oh, look, it's just really, it's about being available to attend a joint meeting with them, really. As I said, they were coming in, some of our clients, they were either signing up to a monthly or a quarterly or a half yearly sort of consulting package with their accountants. So that during that time, they would then sit there. If they were coming into the office, they would bring me, or whether it was another broker, into the meeting to talk through the debt facilities. What does it look like? It might not be immediate,
Yep.
but it might be something down the track that if we want to get the business to here, we might need to look at, a debtor finance or a trade facility, or we want to buy our commercial premises eventually. So what does that look like? And then you build out that relationship early, and then when they know that they need to do something, they touch base with their accountant and they touch base with BlueRock Finance.
Yep. Because you've been, along the journey.
Yep. So
that can help them go, right, I'm achieving the goals here.
Yeah.
And there's also the relationship that you have with their accountant as almost that trusted advisor as well.
That's huge. I think that, look, to be honest, the accounting piece, they are the trusted advisor to the accountant, especially when they're doing a lot of the consultancy work. If they tell the client hey, you've got to go and see Jamie around your debt and have a look at the pricing, all that sort of stuff, they generally do it. So that's been a big reason behind our success, I suppose, and why we've been able to grow our book the way that we have.
And now the team is about 13 FTE.
It is, yep.
Which is obviously great.
Yep.
And is that the number? Are you happy there at the moment? Or?
Oh, look, we're happy there at the moment. We sort of look at it. We almost look at it. I mean, because of my background at NAB, we're sort of running our business as a business banking centre. So we look at it as around, how big's a big enough portfolio for a broker to run, because you've got to remember they're probably getting a lot of their business through their existing clients. If they're over servicing, doing a great job, that client base with word of mouth is referring.
Yes.
So we sort of look at, okay, probably, you're looking at a portfolio of 150, 200 million max per broker. Once you get to that, we want to be able to carve some low-hanging fruit or some of the clients off and then bring in another broker. So at the moment, with where we're at in terms of a business and some junior staff, some senior staff and some middle tier staff in terms of brokers and associates, we're pretty much set. But as we continue to grow, we'll have a look at that and just go, well, hey, Jamie, you've got too much. Let's bring that down a bit and then bring on another broker, get them started. We'll give them a chop out of trail. So here you go. There's a ready-made client portfolio there for you, and then off they go.
Yeah, great. It very much is a replica of how, as you said, a business banking centre was built.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've spoken about coming off our PD days recently has been the REM models for staff, right? Because it's not only, it's one thing to attract talent, but another thing to retain talent. So
absolutely,
for you, the BlueRock model is based on PAYG.
It is.
And how do you, so for that, and that's where brokers own their own P&Ls.
Yeah, correct.
Just give us a high-level overview of that, why that's the decision, because we have, contracting, PAYG, retainer and bonus, etc.
Yeah.
And how do you keep your brokers motivated? Because this could be applicable for someone with one broker or 10 or 50 brokers as well.
Yeah, no problems. We chose the REM model of the PAYG structure with a bonus part to that as well, mainly because of the business that we get through BlueRock. So probably 60% of the business that we get is coming through from the internal network that we've got. So we've got 300 staff in BlueRock. We've got 120 accountants. We've got 40 odd financial planners and investment people, about the same number from a legal practice point of view as well. So a lot of our business is being referred internally. So the best way that we wanted to structure things, where we didn't have that, I call it the seagull to the hot chip sort of scenario where everyone's, that's my deal, was to have a PAYG model. And then we took that PAYG model and we linked it back to that business banking centre mentality that I just spoke about around establishing a P&L for each of our brokers. So when we have a broker start, we want them to have a bit of autonomy to be able to run their own business. So what we do, we work on the financial year. So what we do at the start of every financial year is we sit down with the broker and we'll say, what do you think you can write? What do you think you can write? And we know, obviously, depending on where they are in their journey as a broker, we roughly know.
You'll have a view, right? High
level numbers as to where that sort of sits. But if they're also an existing broker, we know what they wrote last year. So we sit there and we go, well, this is where we think this is where we think the number sits. And then we work out the revenue from there. We know what your cost base needs to be. So it might be you and an onshore and an offshore, depending on how well you're going. We know what that cost base looks like. And then we work to a set GP level. right? And then we sit there in the meeting and they're comfortable, we're comfortable, it's clear, right? They know exactly what their number is they have to hit every month, every quarter, around what that looks like from a revenue point of view and a lending volume point of view, and what the split needs to be, home lending, commercial asset finance, everything that we do at BlueRock. So that works, we find that works really well, but what we do to incentivise that model, right? So they know exactly what they need to write to get to their wage. They want to get paid that, they need to write that.
X amount.
And we're monitoring that quarterly around, hey, what does that look like? Just to make sure that they're on track.
Of course.
And what do we need to do to get our arms around you, to hug you, to get you to where you need to be.
The support that they need in order to help them to achieve that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we overlay that with a bonus structure, right? So our bonus payments are over and above. So if you hit this number on the quarterly basis, we're going to give you a percentage of that revenue to that amount, and then a little bit more for that excess that you've written over.
So is that on a tiered, or is it just hit the amount?
It's a hit the amount as a percentage. So set it. So if your target, let's call it, is for the quarter is, I don't know, let's call it 15,000 a month. So you're 45 grand in upfront revenue, just on upfronts. You've got to hit that. And then we pay you a percentage of that. And then if you go to, say, 60 grand, that's an extra 15, and we'll pay you a percentage on that.
Yeah. And this is, this is what works for BlueRock. We're very much aware that in some instances, the structures and the models at other businesses, it is a hard one. It's a question that I get asked often.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you bring the broker into that conversation of what can you achieve, as opposed to here's your number, that's it.
Yeah, so we want to take them on the journey, and we want them to be a part of that, and they need clarity. I think salespeople in general need clarity. Hey, if I do this, I get that.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah, and you're doing it early,
Yeah.
and then there's, to your point, the frequent conversation or dialogue, the support that BlueRock offers.
Correct.
And, I can only imagine that motivates them even more to want to achieve, the outcomes.
Yeah, and we're lucky in the fact that we've got that ecosystem around us, Brad, right? Yep. So, and that's the beauty of coming into a bigger business like us. The referral base is there. Yeah. So if you really, and we don't set up any relationships. So it's not Jamie goes and speaks with Brad, the accountant, and that's said and done. No, it's about who you do your work with. It's about who you refer to. And generally when you refer to people, they scratch your back, you scratch their back. So it's around, if you want to go in there and really harness the different relationships in BlueRock, if it's to be, it's up to me. Yep.
And I like the fact that the mutual beneficial relationships, which can be applicable to any one of our members watching today, which is if you have relationships, ideally it should be, referral model where great service is provided. It's almost like, I'm saying, hey, thanks so much for referring me to Jamie, because it only strengthens the relationship, say, with my accountant and with my broker.
Yeah, look, and you hope everyone's doing the right thing in the referral chain.
Of course.
Okay, it doesn't always work out that way, but 90% of the time it does, and it's a great relationship. So
you mentioned earlier about BlueRock being more advisory than transactional, and again, so just explain a bit more about that, and most importantly, what it means to your customers.
Yeah. So in terms of obviously with the accounting side, which is our real engine room of BlueRock, that's how the business started. So obviously an accountant can do the compliance work, they can do your financials, they can do your tax returns, they can sit there and, work through that. That's pretty, that's the easy bit. And with AI coming in, it's a lot of that being sort of taken over. So with what our guys are trying to do is be more of the consultant. So instead, you come in, we do a forecast for our clients. They might be a small business, manufacturing, whatever that looks like. We sit down, we do the forecast, we work through that. We will look at the actual results against the forecast, and then we work through, okay, how can we improve things? How can we get you to where you want to be? Not only from a business perspective, but they also look on the personal wealth perspective side of things as well with our financial planners and what we do from a home lending point of view. So then what we do is then all the other areas of BlueRock plug into that conversation, right? So they might need, they might be buying a commercial premises or renting a commercial premises, so they need a leasing specialist from a law team. They need a website, or they need to update their website. We've got our digital team, the general insurance, and the list goes on and on and on. So what happens is they come in, they get the consulting piece, and everything else falls in behind it. And we generally say, greater share of wallet in terms of what you can provide the client and keep them sticky under the roof, the stickier the client.
Yeah, great. And obviously, you've mentioned Humble Guy. You've mentioned we're fortunate because we have that within the ecosystem. But in saying that, any one of our brokers, can have these relationships in place.
Yeah.
And generally, as a customer, you probably want a great broker, a solicitor, a lawyer, accountant,
Absolutely.
Planner around you.
Absolutely.
So it's about building those relationships.
Correct.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
You've mentioned earlier that you've got a good process for your backbook management.
Yes.
And
Yep.
some brokers do this really well, some
Yep.
brokerages. Others are willing to learn and try different things.
Yep.
So what have you implemented at BlueRock, which means, and the benefits for the customer and for the business, of course?
Yeah. So all our brokers, as I mentioned before, have a portfolio. Mm-hmm. So they need to know the loans that sit on that portfolio. Okay. So every sort of month, at the end of the month, they'll have a portfolio listing. They'll simply use a filter just to go through and the oldest loan through to the newest loan.
Right.
And then they'll work with an overseas associate that we've got. They'll gather all the information that they possibly can on the oldest loan mm-hmm. in the book to start as a starting point. They then go and say it's a Bank of Melbourne home loan. With the use of the overseas associate, they'll go and reprice that Bank of Melbourne home loan with Bank of Melbourne mm-hmm. To see if there's a further discount that we can provide there. And then we have a look at three other options in the market. And we all know at the moment, the banks sort of buy market share. So at the moment, you've got the Westpac rate that's pretty hot, you've got mm-hmm. the ANZ rate that's mm-hmm. pretty hot, and we might throw in another bank there, yep. depending on whether or not they're PAYG or self-employed. We'll do up a little sort of Excel table that we've developed. It's not rocket science, mm-hmm. but it's what we've done. And it'll just say, look, here's your loans. Here's your loan amount. This is where your rate is at Bank of Melbourne. We've gone and just repriced it. That's already been set. We've just saved you X amount of dollars per annum in interest. But hey, if you want to have a look at these other options, this is where they sit. Mm-hmm. So they'll do up an email template and then they'll send it out. And then I'll say to them, okay, that's great that you've sent the email out, but have you made the call to the client?
Pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone and call the client as well, because it really is, if you've saved the money, it's a happy moment for the client, right? So if someone emails me and says, Jamie, your home loan's at NAB, and I've just saved you $2,500 a year in interest. Mm. Thanks a lot for that. That's and then what you say is, and what else is happening? What else is there anything happening in the next 12 months within your business or you personally that we could help with?
So a great opportunity to not only share in that moment, because you're a client, I get an email from Jamie and says, like $2,500, all right, I can maybe do something at the house or I can take the kids away.
Correct.
But the smart money is on what's next.
Correct.
Anything else on your mind.
Yeah.
And so does that mean at times it's actually we've been thinking about buying an investment property?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thinking about getting
a car. Yeah, something
correct.
like that. Just anything that's coming up, or we're in the business, or we're struggling with this, or we've just, our accountant's just left us. We've got an accountant. Like, it might not be finance.
Yeah.
It might be something for internally within BlueRock that we can then refer.
Yep.
And then we're referring to an accountant, so we've scratched their back, so that's coming back. So I mean, it's and we try to do that every 6 months. So every 6 months we want to speak to our clients mm-hmm. via a reprice, and whether or not it's with the same bank or someone else. Mm-hmm. It's not always going to be with someone else. We're not in the art of just shopping the bank around. We want to make sure that they're on the best terms and conditions as well as the price. The price is one thing, but the terms and conditions and the way that it's structured is another as well.
Yeah, it's not the only driver. Which is good. But as a bare minimum, it's a touch point.
Correct.
So if they think even after that call, 3 or 4 months, of anything finance or anything else, they go, well, actually, I only spoke to Jamie not that long ago.
Yeah.
So the ongoing conversation with your brokers, as you said, 6 months, can be extremely powerful. Just from a stickiness perspective, a referral perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
So as I mentioned at the start, you've been with Connective now for just over 12 months. You made the decision to shift across.
Yep.
What's the experience been like? And for us, we're really proud of our CRM in Mercury Nexus. What's using that been like for yourself, and what's it given you in terms of benefits for the business?
Yeah, good question. The main thing that I suppose that the Mercury and the IT from Connective has given us is access to our funnel. Mm-hmm. Not to say that we didn't or couldn't use that when we were with LMG mm-hmm. and the My CRM system, by virtue of the way that we were structured in our business, we didn't adopt the funnel management within my CRM. And we tried, but I couldn't get the team to change their way of processing. So for us, it was a bit of a line in the sand moment. Okay, well, if I can't get you to change, I need to be able to have clear visibility of what's coming in, right? Over not just this month, but
30, 60, 90.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the biggest driver, the biggest probably advantage that we've seen with the Mercury system and Connective is the opportunity, what we call the opportunity or the deal going through and the way that it goes through the funnel. So now all our guys put the home lending, commercial, asset finance, everything goes through the funnel. So I'm in the process now of having, what we call our Road to Rock, which is our review process with our staff. So right now I'm sitting there and I can see with clarity and sit down with the guys around, hey, you've got this much in the funnel. That equates to 6 to 8, 9 months worth of work. We're confident that you're going to see out the end of the financial year really strongly. Where I didn't, not by virtue of the system at my CRM, so I certainly don't want to put any bad words in it because it is there and it's available, but we just didn't use it as a business. Whereas here, we're sort of, it feels like we're a bit more forced to use it the way that the system is structured.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah, but the benefits obviously there. You mentioned there was a line in the sand as a result. Not only for you in your role of being able to forecast what does the future look like, but also for your brokers who have their own portfolios. They can do the same, I imagine. Am I on track?
Yes, correct. Yeah, they can see, and they're coming to me going, well, I'm a bit. Look, here's my funnel, Jamie. I'm a bit light. Is there something we can, is there a way that we can help? Or I've got plenty on. Can we share some work? I'm flat out. So. Yeah, it's working really well for us from that point of view. Yeah, the system.
And I trust that the support you're getting through your partnership manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, he's always on hand to help yourself. I mean, I can't. It's great.
Oh, good. Well, we can keep our jobs then.
That's right.
That's at least a start. Okay, and so with such a large team, can you quickly touch on what the coaching or the training aspect looks like to ensure continuous upskilling? Yeah,
I mean that's a big one. We're coming up to sitting. We have a planning day before the start of the financial year, so that's coming up in May for us to sit down. And what we do on that planning day, part of that is a big portion of that is the training and development side of things. So we go around the room, we sit there with the brokers, the lending associates, and we say, what do you actually want to learn? Like, what are the key areas where we're lacking some knowledge in to get you up to speed? Because, and especially with our brokers, to be a successful broker at BlueRock, you've got to be able to execute on our 5 services, which is home lending, commercial, asset finance, self-managed super fund, and private lending. You've got to be, when a deal hits your desk, you've got to know how to execute, to put it together.
Across any of those 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So we sit there and we say, well, what do we need to learn a bit more on them? And, this year there's been, we have something every month where it's a half a day. And then we have probably another hour session before that half day just to prepare for that half session. And we'll have either one of the brokers who's really good at that topic to run it internally, or we'll get some external help, like maybe someone, like just recently we had a day on debtor finance and trade finance. We had the specialist from NAB come in, the trade specialist from NAB come in and do a half day presentation on, hey, this is what you do. We've had, sessions from other bankers where they've come in and ran through the 7 cash drivers of a business and what they're looking for in the credit papers. And so what we're trying to do is we try and do something every month for a half day. And then on top of that, every week we have someone from a bank come in and see us.
Right.
So, they're knocking down the door to come and see 8 brokers, obviously. It's given, obviously, by virtue of probably the size of our business. But I think, this week we've got someone from UBank coming out. Last week it was someone from... I can't remember where they were from, Latrobe or somewhere like that. But it's so every week there's something, but then every month there's a bigger piece around what do we actually want to learn.
And with so many lenders looking to get in front of many of our brokers, really important to say, okay, what would benefit my staff? How can I leverage the relationship with lender ABC so they get in front of the group, which is what they want, and 2, you're upskilling your staff as well, which can be beneficial. And the larger session away from the business really powerful, because if you can build someone up in terms of their capability, the enablement and the engagement usually take take a positive hit too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is great to hear.
Yep.
So Jamie, from your end, you joined just yourself, right?
Yep.
Yes, we mentioned there were referral partners in place, but for any of our brokers, regardless of size, if they were thinking about, I'm looking to grow, what would be a couple of key tips that you would leave them with in terms of building their business?
Look, I think you've got to really build out in terms of growth for a broking business. You need to have a consistent referral source. So you really need to work out what that looks like for your particular business. You might see a lot of brokers that'll specialise in something. Whether that's medical and health. If you're going to do that, be really, really good at it, obviously, to help you grow, because then that referral base will grow from there.
Yes.
So having a good referral source is probably one thing. The other thing is, and the way that, I've just spoken obviously about the Road to Rocks and reviews I'm doing with some of my staff and some of the brokers there that are really successful. And I ask the question, what are you doing that more so than broker B? And their response to me was around over servicing the client, like really going above and beyond for your client. So he sort of said, I do a lot of this work that other brokers, even in this team, wouldn't do. They would walk away from the deal. So I might go and run through 10 or 15 different scenarios to really hone in and own that client. Because then what happens after that is once I get the deal done for that client, they refer their friends and family through word of mouth. So I think over servicing, and then the other thing is as a broker is you've got to be super responsive. Right. So as soon as you get that opportunity, bang, call them back. Do it within the first minute.
Even if that's to say, hey, got your message, let's lock in a time. So that 5-minute call can really, blow the experience out of the water, or at least start on the right track to say, wow, look at this. This is what I'm in for in terms of the service. Yeah,
correct.
That I'm going to get.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so being super responsive is huge, because there's so many brokers out there now in the market. If you don't answer or you don't get back to them, someone else will. Yeah,
correct. If it's not you, it's someone else.
Yep.
And very quickly, Jamie, I know I mentioned husband to Hayley, 2 young boys, very active. For you, we can be in high stress environments. What do you do to ensure that at the end of the day, you're walking in and being the best husband and father you can be? Like, how do you release your valve to look after you? Yeah,
it's a tough one. But I go to the gym. I go to the gym just down here in Collins Street, obviously just around from your office here in the city. But they're Virgin Active. I go there every day pretty much to go and to do a workout. And lucky enough, obviously, I'll probably take an hour and a half instead of an hour for lunch, but an hour doing the gym and half an hour having something to eat. But for me, that's huge for me mentally. And it's more mental than probably physical. And then going for a run, I'll enjoy running. But also being able to, and my wife will probably say something different here, but when you get home is actually just switching it off. If you can, and I'm guilty of it, I don't do it all the time, but if you can turn off your phone when you get home and you can give your undivided attention to your wife and your kids, that's going to be beneficial for your family moving forward.
It's a challenge, no doubt, but it's important that our members are looking after themselves.
Correct,
and
huge.
There. So really important. No, thanks. It's always important to get a bit of that. Thanks again to Jamie for sharing his journey. We really appreciate it. We're very lucky to have him as a Connective member, albeit 1 year in, but you're not going anywhere. You're not allowed.
No.
For any of you who would like to learn more about Connective and what it's like to be a Connective member, please reach out to us. We have sales executives, we have partnership managers and estate managers. My name's on the website, you can call me. So for any of you that would like to find out more, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop us a note and we'll hear from you soon.